All right. All of us here are gonna talk about now the very first comic book that we either read or just flat out remember. And for me, I have to look up the number and exactly what the name was, but I think it was Detective Comics. Forgot what issue, but all I remember was.
You see it now.
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell Tony. I was coming from Puerto Rico to the United States for the first time.
I'm so mature.
You love it. And my mom was like, "Oh man, these little niggas is gonna be annoying the whole plane ride, so I'm gonna just buy them comic books." And before that, I would just watch like the Super Friends and shit. And she got me this comic book of Batman, and in the comic book, it was Mr. Zsasz just murdering everybody in this hospital while Robin was trying to like stop him. And this is the first time I ever met Mr. Zsasz and just saw him like, yeah, this is fun. And I'm like, I think I was like 6 or 7. I was like, mind you, Super Friends, this. And I was like,
whoa,
this is awesome.
Oh, this is my love now.
This is and after that, I was just hooked. Thanks to comic books, I learned English like that, and I was just like,
hey, you learned how to cut himself.
And
but
that's
yeah,
when I became a masochist.
and that was my first comic book. What was yours, Jared?
No,
Actually,
Willis
no.
had first.
I was gonna say, let's go. That's
Oh, okay.
sorted.
Who wants to take first?
Go ahead, son.
First comic I read was Slimer, #1.
Wow.
And it's a picture of Slimer on the cover. And
Did it glow in the
it was-
dark?
No, it didn't, I don't think. But I don't think it did. But I just remember that was the first comic I read because I just started reading when I was like 5 and I just read that comic. Didn't get me, I mean, from there I went to like Turtles comics, because the Archie Turtles comics. And then I remember I one up my brother when I really started getting into comics. It was like X-Men by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. He got 1 and 2. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get 2 and 3. So that was my origin story.
He's a monster. But that being said, I don't remember what my first comic was. It was probably something like Real Ghostbusters or something. But the one that like sealed the deal and really made me a collector was what was it? Uncanny X-Men 294. Uncanny X-Men 294 was the first issue of Executioner Song, and that did
Oh
it.
my god.
That
What a
did it.
beautiful place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea who these characters were, Cable and Strife and everyone, but I loved it, and from there I was hooked.
No, yeah, that's how it happened with the X-Men for me. It was like I started reading at Fatal Attractions, and before that I only knew the animated show, the X-Men animated show, and then from there I was like, I gotta learn everything about the X-Men, and boom.
Yeah.
But
Not it?
Okay, I didn't start as young as you guys
Oh, no, that's
because
fine.
my parents weren't really, they discouraged reading things like that, screw imagination. But I think the first one I can remember has to be about Harley Quinn, and it was a really cute book where she wanted to be with Joker on Valentine's Day, so she was just causing chaos everywhere, trying to be with him and get him out of like jail and stuff. Or something, and at the end, everyone realized they were like, "Well, let's just put him in like insane asylum, and then put her there." And then at the end, it was, I don't know, it was kind of gay, but it was. I don't get
was
it.
it the animated series?
Yeah, it was the animated series
Was
one,
it?
right? Yeah.
It almost
It may
had
have
to be,
been.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like she
She didn't exist before that. Yeah. It was like a spin-off of the animated series. I know
I
exactly
actually
what you're
liked her
talking
character in those books rather than the Amanda Connor series.
about.
That's
No,
fine.
right?
I feel like she's trying a little bit too hard now to maintain Harley Quinn's like personality.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
The
Jared?
TV one was the best.
Oh,
one.
me? Well, my first comic book was, what was it? NFL Pro Hero. It was a Marvel book, but he was like the Marvel NFL merger where he was a superhero that wore football pads and had a helmet on. And he was corny. But the first issue I read was with him, and it was featuring the Amazing Spider-Man. And that was the first time I saw Spider-Man, and like the NFL Pro Hero was just running through New York chasing after these guys, and Spider-Man webs right between them, and he's like, "Hey, look, I intercepted your bad guys," and it was like these corny puns and crazy corny football
Back in the
puns.
day, Marvel was like,
Yeah, Marvel was just like, "Well, we need to make money. NFL, please use this character." But I remember that was my first comic book.
It's like those Hostess ads. Just spread
Yeah,
out
it was
the
just a
whole
big
issue.
ad throughout the entire book, and I remember I colored in it, and it was like I destroyed that book. And what really sealed the deal for me, though, reading comic books, like my dad was a big collector, and he always had comics all throughout the house. But when I like solidified myself as a collector was the Age of Apocalypse. I was in the 6th grade, And my computer teacher, he was a big comic book fan, and he had every single issue of Age of Apocalypse. And I was just like, I'm gonna read that. And I did, and that was history. And I was an X-Men kid.
Did you know about X-Men before? Age of
Oh no!
Apocalypse?
Once I started reading Age of Apocalypse, after that it was like, Dad, do you have any X-Men books? And it was literally going back to the
hits you
Claremont
harder
era and everything. And
when you're like,
yeah, of course. Within the first year of after reading Age of Apocalypse, I went back and read Age of Apocalypse again like 3 times after reading everything else that had come before it. My dad went and caught me the big omnibus. Remember how they used to make the thick ones back in the day?
thick.
Oh my God, it was
good.
heaven. It was heaven. I like people would wake up on Saturday morning and watch cartoons. I'd be like, sunlight. We didn't have power.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar thing where my earliest comic book memory I have is the death of Superman, and it's the literal issue where he died. There was a comic book shop in Hudson Mall in Jersey City at the
Shit was
time.
in the news.
What was the name of that place? Do you remember? No?
No.
Doesn't matter. But when that was all going
Comics and
about,
shit.
I was like, comics never really hit news like news media up until that time. And it hit so hard that like must have been 9 years old because I think it was 1994, and me and my sister went to that comic shop and she picked up a couple issues prior to the final battle, and I picked up that last issue. Now reading it, I didn't realize that the whole thing was all big ass splash pages. Every page was one big ass splash page. I just remember going, "This is the most amazing, riveting thing I've ever seen." And it's like I get to the end, and it was this huge gatefold, and I'm like, "They really did it." And I was just like,
Folding it all together.
"No,
Yeah,
I can't do this."
I can still read that and get goosebumps.
So-
just watching the fight.
So then years went by, and my only real connection, to, like I would read something here or there, and I liked a lot of characters. I collected the DC Outburst cards. They were like these embossed cards that they had,
Yeah.
and that's how I learned about like the DC universe from that time. Batman the Animated Series, obviously X-Men, Spider-Man Animated Series. It wasn't until, believe it or not, 2005 where I walked into a comic shop and went, okay, I'm going to start buying my own books, and I want to know more about these characters. And when it came to DC, I started with 52, which now looking back, I was like, what was I thinking? But it was still it's still to this day my favorite event in DC history.
Wow.
Because of that, I went in knowing nothing about any of these characters, and I learned
Everything that you need
everything
to know.
that I needed to know. And when it came to Marvel, I kind of just had this thing where I was like, I want to know more about
But there was no 52 event that would do that for you, where you would.
For Marvel, no. But for Marvel, I went, I want to go back further. So I actually went and bought all of the Simonson's arcs of X Factor. So I learned all about Apocalypse. I learned all about the Four Horsemen. The original team. This is when they first brought Jean back for the first time.
Fall of the Mutants.
The Fall of the Mutants. Oh my God, that shit just fucking. I was sitting there reading, and I'm like, I know it all happened already, but this is amazing. It's what made me like Angel like a whole lot, to the point where
That's the best arc.
Yeah, it was. It's where the character really thrived. This is when Gambit was still kind of fun, and now he's just a ghost of his former self.
Him and Rogue.
Yeah,
That
what
was,
I mean.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was an
yeah.
awesome relationship. I love that.
It was.
That was primetime TV.
Also,
yeah.
around that time, I don't know if everybody else did it. I'm pretty sure you did. Like all those Fleer Ultra.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Just like, and that's the same thing. I had the DC ones. I had a bunch of other
At
ones.
some point, they would be in the middle of the books.
Yeah.
You'd be tearing them out.
Well, the
Great.
annuals, the Marvel annuals had like
Shit, breaking
origin
bindings.
cards of a new character or something in some
Amalgam.
annuals.
The Amalgam.
Amalgam.
Amalgam was big back then. I collected every single Amalgam book. Oh man.
Yeah.
Batman fused with Wolverine.
Everything I ever learned about the DC universe all goes back to 52. Everything I learned about Marvel goes back to those Claremont Simonson eras, and that's kind of where I happen.
Against everybody.
And now we read comic books.
Now we read comic books.
And we're like 30 years old.
Hey.
We're still there on rock.
Relax, homeboy. Well, this table's still young.
Yeah.
I'm not 30 yet.
Yeah, young and hip and with it.
Give me about 7 months, then I'll be 30.
But yeah, from humble beginnings to the admins of CBFU.
Homo beginning. Oh, humble.
Humble.
We all had homo beginnings.
What was your first comic?
Yes.
Let us know.
Comment. Tell us.
Right here.
Yeah. Or in the group.
On the YouTube and the YouTubes.
And come to the group.
I mean,
talk
and the
to us.
Facebooks.
Talk to us, mother sucker.
We are so lonely.
So
Talk to us. Talk to us.
No, for real comment, please.
Yeah, come on, do it. And
Shit's
like,
not only bad videos and
Spread it
nobody
around
talking
if you
shit.
want.
talk to you later. We'll be back with like movie stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, eventually.
Main movies,
Yeah.
eventually.
Because by the time you see this, it'll be end of the month anyway.
Yeah, we got you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.